What's going on, guys? Dawkbro back again. Hope you're all fantastic today, and welcome back to another wonderful Fazbear Frights summary video. Today we are doing the final book, apart from Felix the Shark. Those are bonus stories, which we will do, by the way. Fazbear Frights number 11. Prankster. Now, this is the shortest story out of the whole series, man. It's only 40 pages long, but I still really enjoyed it. Obviously, spoilers, but this story is about FNAF VR, the company working for the VR game. It's never directly said that they're making Help Wanted, but it's stated that Fazbear Entertainment buys the company for them to make a VR game. So if you guys love FNAF VR and you like the lore about Tape Lady and stuff, and about somebody called Jeremy who supposedly cuts off his face, this story is somewhat similar. Fazbear Frights is in a different universe, obviously, as Scott has already said, but there are some similarities with this story and the story behind Jeremy. Being confirmed in the new Freddy Files book as well, that the main antagonist of this FNAF VR story is Glitch Trap. So Glitch Trap's involved in this, a prankster's involved, so it's a really good story. I'd recommend you guys to, just briefly recap yourselves with FNAF VR with the Tape Lady, and listen to all of those tapes, or read them, or do whatever you want, and then come back and then rewatch this video, or listen to the tapes after. It's totally up to you. Because there are a few connections. It is different, but there are a few connections. And the main thing to start off with is the main character. And the main character is called Jeremiah. Very similar to Jeremy. Jeremiah has been working for this video game company for 4 years, and they've made some video games in the past, some successful, some not. The problem with this company is that they have a bad sense of direction, so they don't really know what they're doing. They're about to become bankrupt and struggle, and the company's going to disappear. However, just before the failure of the company, and just letting you guys know, we never get a company name, by the way, in this book. No company name, not Blue Parasol Games or whatever it was called I think it was Blue Parasol or something, or Silver Parasol Games. Before the failure of the company, Fazbear Entertainment buy the company. Okay, they brought the company and entrusted the company to make a VR game. Okay. It's never stated in the book if it is Help Wanted, by the way. It's never said we're making Help Wanted. It's never said we're making a Freddy Fazbear's VR game. But it's pretty obvious, right? Fazbear Entertainment buys the company and wants them to make a VR game. Very, very similar to the Tape Lady, what she said. Fazbear Entertainment entrusted them to make a VR game. It's the same in this story. So yeah, it's pretty obvious it is Help Wanted or just a FNAF VR game in the Fazbear Fright universe. There is a love story plot in this story. Jeremiah has a big fat crush on a lady called Hope who works for the company as well. He did think about leaving the company because it's not doing very well, and he wants to stay there for her. Now, we don't know if Hope could be the Tape Lady. Maybe not. You'll see why at the end. And there's also somebody who works there called Parker, and Parker is his co-worker, and Parker is the prankster. Okay, Parker's the prankster. He keeps pulling pranks on Jeremiah. The first thing he does, he puts something bad in his coffee. Just a small little prank. He spits out the coffee, and Parker starts laughing, and Hope starts laughing too. Obviously, that frustrates Jeremiah, seeing Hope giggle with Parker pranking him all the time. So yeah, Parker is the prankster, pulling loads of pranks throughout the story on Jeremiah. It's nothing sinister. He just puts something in his coffee to make him spit it out. Hope does care about him though, definitely, because Parker does film it, and then Hope asks him to delete it because Jeremiah doesn't want it, going viral or whatever. So she does care about him. Parker was mischievous, but not malevolent. So, he's not a bad guy. He's just pulling pranks, and they're never anything like super crazy or mean. He just puts stuff in his coffee, Also wrote down, Jeremiah is always a bit too scared to confess his love to Hope. He thinks that Hope doesn't see him in that way. I mean, it's clearly obvious that he likes her, but she's not seeing it, if that makes sense. She's not realizing that he does like her. And so, he doesn't have enough confidence to say, confess that. After the day of work, Jeremy goes home to his apartment. He eats food and watches a movie. Bit of filler here. He has a dream. He falls asleep watching a movie. He has a dream about going out for dinner with Hope. Apparently, he always dreams about her, which obviously shows his affection towards Hope, like he really likes her. He wakes up in the morning and he says, you know what? Being nice is the key to win Hope. I'm just going to keep being nice. I'll take Parker's pranks, you know. He's not a very nice guy. And hopefully I win over Hope because I'm the nice guy, you know. I'm always nice, so. Another prank is then committed on Jeremiah again. Hope asks Jeremiah if he wants a sandwich. Parker and Hope are going to get sandwiches. Hope remembers Jeremiah's favourite sandwich, which gives him a bit of confidence. Like, oh my God, she remembers what food I like and stuff. However, Parker is going with Hope as well. Remember that. At lunch, Parker pranks Jeremiah again. Instead of normal chips, he gets Jeremiah the hottest hot chips that he can get, like a secret recipe. And it unfortunately embarrasses Jeremiah. They're really hot. He has to run to the sink and get water. You know, he starts swelling up and stuff. They were very, very hot. I've even said, like, okay, Parker might be taking it a bit too far now. This is more like bullying than pranking. Even Hope sees that as well. Hope thinks that this prank was too far as well, and it shows that Hope did really care about him. There's some good chemistry between them at that point. When Parker leaves the room, Hope's taking care of Jeremiah. This is looking good. Maybe she does know that he likes him, and maybe she likes him too. Time skip after work. There's some more filler. Jeremiah meets his friends Matt and Ty every Tuesday to play trivia at Leonardo's Pizzeria. Shows that he's got more friends and stuff. He is a social guy. His friends ask about the workplace, and Jeremiah's like, oh, I really hope that this VR game is a big seller. We really need the money. We really need the funds to keep the company afloat. He also tells them about Hope as well. Things are looking up. We had some good chemistry at work today. They say, you know, this is a good sign, Jeremiah. You know, she cares about you. This is a good sign. You should ask her out. You know, you should ask her out soon. You know, don't waste the opportunity, you know, just ask her out. There's nothing to lose. He wakes up the next morning, fully motivated. I'm going to ask Hope out. Today's going to be a good day. However, I'm pretty sure Parker's going to get in the way of that. And that's exactly what happens. He walks into the office and he sees Parker and Hope holding the VR headsets, ready to go into the testing room. So, interestingly, there is a testing room in the Tape Lady's office as well. Tape Lady talks about a testing room as well, and it's here in this story too. The testing room is where they run the game. There's a computer outside the room as well, monitoring the game and everything. And the testing room is to basically, you know, use the VR headsets and roam around and test the game. And obviously, Jeremy's a bit like, I don't know, because he obviously wants to spend time with Hope, and he's a little bit jealous with Parker. Parker says, you know, it's fine. I just want Hope to test the game. She's never seen it before, so it'll be nice to see a fresh mind going into the game and seeing her first reaction. So while they're in the testing room and Jeremy's outside, he hears them giggling and stuff. He hears them having a laugh together, and that makes Jeremiah upset, very jealous, starts twisting things, starts thinking that they're flirting and, you know, not just having fun at the game. He feels like they're flirting with each other. And then his mind starts to race and overthink, you know, what if they are actually flirting with each other and in love with each other, you know, and that obviously upsets him a lot. So, unfortunately, he does go home after that. He says, I'm going home. I feel sick. He genuinely does feel sick. And then he goes home because he's heartbroken, you know, after thinking that it's upset him. Obviously shows how much he likes Hope as well, like really likes him. You know, seeing another guy with someone you like and stuff giggling around, it's obviously hurt him to the point where he just wants to go home and he doesn't want to be there. It's never actually said in the story, like, what was going on. It's never confirmed, like, oh, were they actually flirting or were they just having fun with the game? Yeah, the last thing he saw before closing the door was Hope biting her lower lip like she did when she was excited about something. So, time skip, he's back home. And he's really upset, you know. He thinks, oh, I'm always going to be lonely. I'm never going to find anyone. He realises, though, that tomorrow is his birthday and he has to go to work. And he says, like, I'm just going to pretend that it's not my birthday, you know, and just go on no one's going to notice that it's my birthday. I'm just going to lay low and then forget about the whole day and just go home and watch a movie afterwards. Okay? At work, the elevator opens with a happy birthday sign. They did know it was his birthday, and they are celebrating it. So let's see what happens on Jeremiah's birthday. When the elevator doors slid open, Jeremiah was genuinely surprised by what he saw. The office was lit by strings of tiny fairy lights. A huge banner with balloons surrounding it said, "Happy birthday, Jeremiah." He smiled. They had remembered, or even better, she had remembered. But there was nobody around. Were they waiting to jump out and yell surprise? Had they not heard him come in? "Hey guys," Jeremiah said, loud enough for his voice to carry to wherever they were hiding. "Thanks, this is really nice." There was no answer, no movement, no sign of anyone being there but him. He walked down the hall to the break area. On the table, where the now infamous hot chip lunch had taken place, a birthday cake sat, looking just like he remembered from childhood. A white frosted grocery store bakery sheet cake, trimmed with piped royal blue icing. "Happy birthday, Jeremy," was written in blue icing on top. He smiled. It was close enough, and whoever had put the candles on, Hope probably, had put on the right number. But where was everybody? He walked the rest of the way down the hall, peeking inside empty offices and conference rooms. Maybe they were waiting to jump out when he least expected it. He had to hand it to them. They were doing an awfully good job at hiding. "Hope? Parker?" he called. "You can come out. You've already surprised me enough."
"Jeremiah."
The voice was coming from the loudspeaker, which was never used since their office staff had dwindled to such a small number. The voice sounded deep and electronic, like when people are interviewed anonymously on TV and don't want anybody to hear their real voice. But there was no doubt in Jeremiah's mind who the distorted voice belonged to. He knew that Parker had decided to make him the victim of a birthday prank. He hoped it was a good-natured prank at least.
"Jeremiah,"
the distorted voice repeated.
"I have taken your co-workers Parker and Hope hostage. If you call the police, I will kill them immediately."
"Uh-huh," Jeremy said, sounding as unconvinced as he felt. The distorted voice was obviously Parker's.
"You have a choice to make, birthday boy. You can flee the building with the confidence that you will live to see another birthday, even though your friends won't. Or you can try to save your friends. If you take this option, you have 30 minutes. The longer you take, the worse shape they'll be when you find them. Now, what is your choice?"
"I choose to save my friends," Jeremiah said with a sigh. In truth, he considered Parker a bully, not a friend. But he wanted to make a good impression on Hope, and triumphing over one of Parker's pranks seemed like a good way to do it. Plus, it was just a stupid game anyway, right? It was his birthday after all. He might as well play the game.
"Very well,"
the distorted voice said.
"Use your time wisely, or your friends may be missing a few pieces. Your time starts now."
So the prank has begun. Jeremiah has to look around the office for clues and stuff, how to get started. It's kind of like an escape room kind of thing. So he looks around the office. Now, take note of this, okay? Hope's purse is on her desk. So he knows that Hope has been here today at work. Hope and Parker have been to work at that day. They have been there. So the voice comes back. "Since you're at a desk, you might as well write something down. Your first clue is an anagram. Write it down. Write it down. Stinger Moot. STINGERMOOT. Jeremiah solves it. It's the testing room. So that's the first place he needs to go. Because Jeremiah thinks this is just a game, just a prank, he takes his time. He's not rushing things. He's not panicking. He's not running to the testing room. He walked instead of running. He didn't want Parker to think he was feeling pressured. It was just a game after all. So Jeremiah is taking his time because he knows it's a prank. It's his birthday. It's just a joke. The voice says at the start, you've got 30 minutes. The longer you take, the worse your friends are going to be at the end, and they can even die if you don't get them in 30 minutes. So he goes to the testing room, and in the empty room on the floor is a small gift box, okay? And he opens the box, and what's inside? He flips the lid open. His stomach lurched. Teeth. The velvet-lined box was filled with teeth. Some large, some perhaps small enough to be baby teeth. One molar was flecked with blood on the bottom of it, where it had been yanked out by the root. Jeremiah wanted to keep his cool, but couldn't help but visibly shudder. Where had Parker managed to get teeth of all things? Was he friends with a dentist who had a sick sense of humour? Jeremy took a deep breath. A clue, he told himself. The teeth are supposed to be a clue. Stop freaking out and start thinking. So he starts to investigate what the teeth mean, and then he figures out that the clue is actually underneath the box. So he set the teeth aside and examined the box. He pulled out the velvet liner. In the bottom of the box was a small piece of paper that had been folded into a tiny square. Jeremiah unfolded the paper. On it, a typed message read, "Sink your teeth into this clue, Jeremiah. Give me one and I'll make more. Each one like the one before. What am I?" Jeremiah solves it instantly. The copying machine. The next place is to go to the copy machine. And the voice says something now.
"Don't get too confident, Jeremiah."
The distorted voice boomed out of the loudspeaker, making him jump.
"The time is ticking away. Only 20 minutes left. And the slower you are, the more they will suffer. I wonder, if you do manage to find your friends, will you even be able to recognise them?"
Pretty weird, right? You know, this is taking the prank a bit too far, but at this point, it's still not bad. You know, just some teeth in a box. They could be fake. They could be real. It kind of reminds me of Saw. If you guys have watched Saw or anything like that, you know, an escape room like that, where the machine is, and he looks around. It's quite a small room, so there's not really much to look around at. He finds a jar, and the jar is filled with fingernails, like actual pulled out fingernails that somebody's pulled out with a plier or something, and they were real fingernails. They're fingernails, and not fingernail clippings, but the whole fingernails that had been removed somehow. Jeremiah felt a boil rising in his throat. He gagged. He took a deep breath and told himself to calm down. These couldn't be real fingernails. They were props. Extremely realistic props. The kind you'd see in a horror movie with a decent budget, but props nonetheless. Jeremiah just thinks it's still a prank, so he thinks the fingernails are just props. You know, they're movie props, right? They're not real. And then he finds the note and it says, "You nailed this challenge. Your next clue contains even more frights. To get there, you just need to follow the lights." Jeremiah stepped out into the hall. A string of tiny lights was stretched from the doorway of the copy room down the hall. He followed them, which was certainly easier than deciphering another cryptic clue. Maybe he was getting close to the end of the game. It hadn't been fun. It was too disturbing for that. But it had been interesting. He would definitely come out of this experience with a story to tell.
"Time's wasting, Jeremiah,"
the voice on the loudspeaker announced.
"Only 10 minutes left. Better get to your friends soon, or they'll all be in pieces."
The laughter sounded like a distorted version of Parker's laugh. "You really put some work into this, Parker. I'll give you that," Jeremiah said. So again, you know, Jeremiah's, "Yeah, you've really put some effort into this." Like, you know, the light stopped at a doorway to a conference room that hadn't been used since the company's downsizing. He turned the knob and walked in. Sitting on the table, lined up as if staring at him, were 3 eyeballs. 2 of them, Jeremiah noticed, had brown irises. The third one was blue. Seeing intact eyeballs separated from their owners made Jeremiah think of how delicate the eye was, soft and squishy, like a peeled grape. He felt a wave of nausea, a sensation that was now becoming familiar. These eyes had to be real. Even an excellent special effects artist couldn't make something this convincing. So where was Parker getting this stuff? Where was Parker getting this stuff? And again, Jeremiah tries to think of things. Apparently in their building on the 3rd floor was a medical supply company. So he thought like, oh, Parker's probably asked them for, you know, body parts and stuff that he can use for this prank that are going to be used you know, sending to schools and stuff for research or whatever. So that's what he tries to make up in his head, that Parker got these from a medical company on the 3rd floor. Jeremiah felt better suddenly, confident that no one had been harmed in the creation of this elaborate prank. Now, a point to make is that the eyeballs, the 2 brown eyeballs, are the same colours of Hope, and the blue eyeball, Parker has blue eyes as well, apparently. So think about that. Okay, so there's two brown eyes that match Hope's. Jeremiah never says that they match Hope's though or anything, so that's a point to make as well. Surely if they were Hope's eyes, Jeremiah would have recognised them straight away, but he doesn't say anything about that, so we'll see what happens next. There's a note under one of the eyeballs. I see that you're moving closer to your goal. Follow the lights to make things right. He leaves the room. He follows the trail of fairy lights on the wall that takes him to the next room. A medium-sized gift sat on the desk. It was wrapped in white paper decorated with shiny multicoloured letters spelling happy birthday and topped with a big silver bow. Jeremiah was starting to lose the pleasure he had always felt in unwrapping gifts. Still, he tore through the paper and lifted the lid off the box. Resting inside a nest of light blue tissue paper was a pile of fingers, maybe as many as 12 or 13, but it was hard to say because many of them had been chopped into fragments. 2 of them were missing fingernails. Remember that, okay? So the fingers as well don't have their fingernails too. So they were obviously used for the jar in the other room. The same fingers. Jeremiah couldn't help it. Prank or no prank, he vomited into the wastebasket. Once he was able to normalise his breathing, he looked inside the box again. One of the fingers was small and obviously had belonged to a female. It was wearing a delicate silver ring with a light blue gemstone in it. Aquamarine, Hope's birthstone. He realised with horror that it was Hope's ring, the one she always wore on her right ring finger. Did this mean that the severed finger belonged to Hope? He bent over to examine it more closely. There was a small dark freckle just below the finger's first joint. Jeremiah had spent so much time looking at Hope that he had memorised her face, her hair, her hands. This was not her freckle, not her finger. He felt a brief moment of relief, but then felt bad for feeling relieved. He's realised that these fingers don't belong to Hope, but that's still Hope's ring. What does that mean, right? If Jeremiah's confirmed that these fingers don't belong to Hope, but who do they belong to, and why is Hope's ring there as well, right? And that's what he says. And even if it wasn't Hope's finger, it was still Hope's ring. What did that mean? Could Hope be in some kind of danger? Was Parker hurting her? Enough is enough, Parker, Jeremiah yelled. The game had gone on too long. This needs to stop now.
Feeling like things are getting out of hand?
The voice on the loudspeaker said, laughing.
There's only one way that this game ends. Follow the lights before it's too late for your friends.
Jeremiah's serious now, you know. He runs to the next room because he realises now, like, oh, Hope could be in danger here. You know, Parker could actually be hurting Hope, because he still thinks the voice announces Parker, which I would too, to be honest. So he makes his way into the next room, and in this next room is a big cardboard box with 2 holes inside at the top. And obviously, he's got to go into the cardboard box and rummage around to try and find something. And on the box it says, for the key to where your friends hide, roll up your sleeves and reach inside. Inside of the box were intestines. So he was rummaging around for a key and he was feeling all of these intestines inside of the box. Jeremiah hoped that the innards he was feeling had come from some unfortunate livestock and had been acquired at a butcher's shop, but in his mind he knew better. The medical supply company, he told himself. All this stuff came from the medical supply company. It was from people who had died from natural causes, who donated their bodies to scientific research. But even as he tried to convince himself, the words were sounding more and more desperate and ridiculous. If these body parts were for study or just dissection, Wouldn't they be preserved in some way? All the parts he had encountered during this horrible game seemed disturbingly fresh. So now he's starting to realise that, you know, this is weird. Like, all the body parts that I've seen, the eyeballs and the intestines are all fresh. Like, you know, this isn't from the medical supply company. You know, how's Parker getting all these things, right? He manages to get the key. Okay, I've got the key. Is the game over? Do I win now? Because I am done. Do you hear me, Parker? I'm done.
What quest ends with just finding a key, Jeremiah?
The voice on the loudspeaker boomed.
Don't you have to find out what it's a key to? Don't you want to save your friends? Or what's left of them?
You're not my friend, Parker, Jeremiah yelled. It felt like something he should have said a long time ago. But Hope was his friend, and she could be in danger or in pain. If she needed saving, he could do it. He makes his way to the next room to try and save Hope, and still thinking that Parker is the prankster. Even though it's not really a prank anymore. It could still be, you know, the intestines could be props still, I don't know. You might know somebody who worked for the Evil Dead, good with props. And inside this room was a medium-sized flat box. When he saw what was inside, he screamed. He tried to muffle the scream with his fist, but tasted the blood that still covered his hands. He looked at the contents of the box, driven by a need to make sense of what he had seen. Jeremiah was looking at a face that had been stripped from a human skull, along with part of the scalp and hair. It took him a moment longer to recognise who the face belonged to, but then he started to put the pieces together. The brown hair with the distinctive forelock, the full lips that had been so often stretched in a self-satisfied smile. He almost expected the lips to part in a laugh.
You still think this is Parker?
The distorted voice on the loudspeaker said. No, Jeremiah said, surprised to hear the sob in his voice. No, Parker's right here. He didn't want to, but he found himself looking again at Parker's peeled away face. Jeremiah wiped tears from his eyes. So inside the box, guys, was Parker's ripped off face, peeled off face. If you guys have recapped on the tapes, or if you go and look at them later, that's what happens to Jeremy in the Tape Lady story. It's not specifically said, but it does happen. The Tape Lady sees a Halloween mask on the side with black ink because the room's so dark she can't see what's going on in there. That's Jeremy's ripped off face. That's the black ink on Jeremy's body and stuff on his shirt is his blood. So for some reason, it's back here where Jeremy's face got peeled off in the game lore. In here, Parker's face got ripped off as well and put inside a box. So what does that really mean? If Parker wasn't running this sick show, then who was? Jeremiah realised that as long as he had thought Parker was in charge, he could entertain the notion that no matter how bad or cruel things seemed, it was just an elaborate prank. But now, it became clear that this was no prank. It was real. There was only one word that made sense to Jeremiah right now. Run. Jeremiah starts to panic. He's literally just seen Parker's ripped off face in a box. Is it real? Is it still a prank? Who knows? So he tries to call the elevator, and the elevator stopped working. It's been tampered with. Now, you know, if it was Glitchtrap could tamper with the elevator. He could tamper with the electronics and stuff. So yeah, somebody tampered with the elevator, so he can't escape. He can't get out. However, there is a stairwell. You can go down the stairs instead, the emergency exit, and escape from there. This is an interesting detail that you guys need to take note of as well. So as he's going down the stairs to escape, he notices a red smear across the white cinder block wall. Blood. Relatively fresh blood, judging from its brightness. But whose blood was it? He couldn't slow down to think about it. Or the blood that next spattered the walls could be his. So there's already blood that's going down the stairs. So, is that Hope's blood? Is that Parker's blood? Is it somebody else working there? Just know that, okay? That is not Jeremiah's blood. That is blood on the wall that's been smeared there. Was that a clue for Jeremiah to go down the stairs to find something? Or was it somebody trying to escape? He goes all the way down 15 flights, and unfortunately, the door's been locked. He tries a different door, locked. A different door, locked. So all the doors around the whole place have been locked up, okay? So he can't get out. He's trapped in this building. He realises now that he's screwed, you know. So he goes back upstairs. He makes his way up back to the 15th floor to try and beat the game, to try and finish this. When he's making his way up to the 15th floor, on the 6th floor, he notices something. The 6th floor door was outlined in a string of tiny lights. The same kind that had lit his way throughout the horrendous birthday game. He pushed on the door. It opened. I'm going to read the ending to you now, guys, because this is the ending. This is the final room. And it is, I think it's a bit confusing, but let me know what you guys think. It is a bit weird, but I think I know what's happened. You know, it's kind of similar to Jeremy in the FNAF game lore with Tape Lady. Jeremiah went inside the 6th floor, an office space that had been vacant since he had taken the job with the game company. He knew going inside was probably a bad idea. No, was definitely a bad idea. But what other choice did he have? He could go back up to his office, which was littered and ruled by a malevolent presence on the loudspeaker. Or he could take his chances here. The only illumination on the 6th floor came from the strings of tiny lights hung along the ceiling. There were no computers, no office furniture, no other signs of human activity. There were only little tiny lights leading down a dark hallway. At the end of the hallway was some kind of faint glow. Almost as if he had been hypnotized to do so, Jeremiah followed the lights. He was going to see this thing through. The glow was coming from a room at the end of the hall. As he drew nearer, the source of the glow became obvious. An old TV, the kind he could remember from his grandmother's house, was sitting in the empty room. It was turned on, but the screen showed only the black and white pattern his grandmother had always referred to as snow. On the shelf below the TV was an equally ancient piece of audio-visual equipment, a VCR. Jeremiah hadn't seen one of those since his childhood. The green power button on the VCR glowed in a reassuringly familiar way. On a whim, Jeremiah pressed play. The snow on the screen disappeared and was replaced by the smiling faces of Parker and Hope. "Surprise!" Hope said, laughing in her soft, tinkly way. "Gotcha!" Parker said. "Got you good this time. Oh, and," he looked over at Hope, "happy birthday!" The two of them yelled together. "I hope you appreciate all our efforts, Jeremiah," Hope said. "It was a lot of work putting all this together, even though it was totally worth it." "I never thought we would get it put together in time," Parker said, "between setting up the motion sensors and the loudspeaker. But it couldn't have gone better, could it?" Hope said, flashing her familiar, sweet-looking smile. From what Parker said, there was motion sensors in the office, so when he walked into the room, the loudspeaker would play what's next for the game. Okay, so it was a prank all along? It was just a prank? Jeremiah did not recognize the room in which Hope and Parker had been filmed. It was too dark to make out much of the setting. However, he could see what was on the table at which they stood. The kind of sharp kitchen scissors used for boning meat, a variety of knives ranging in size from a small scalpel to a huge cleaver. "It was perfect," Parker said to Hope. Then he turned to face the camera. "But now that you've had your birthday surprise, there's a good chance that Hope and I need to get to a hospital." He grinned like a game show host. "I bet we do," Hope said, laughing. The smile faded from Parker's face. "Okay, Parker," he yelled into the camera. "He's ready. Give us a knock." At first, Jeremiah thought the knocking was coming from the videotape, but then he realised the source of the noise was a supply closet a few feet away from him. Something was knocking very low on the closet door from the inside. Without even thinking about it, Jeremiah started backing out of the room, though his gaze was still fixed on the TV screen. "Now, if you'll excuse us," the Parker on the video said, "Hope and I have some work to do." Parker leaned over towards the camera. He was holding a big pair of pliers, which he opened and closed menacingly, then let out his trademark, "Heh heh heh." The screen went black. Jeremiah stood, frozen in confusion and terror, as the supply closet door slowly inched open. And that is the end of Prankster, guys. Bit confusing, right, with that ending. However, there are some hints on that. You know, Parker and Hope saying that, you know, "Hope you liked your birthday prank, but I think we need to go to the hospital after this." So basically, it looks like Parker and Hope have done that stuff to themselves. So they had all the tools on the desk. They had the pliers. They had the cutting, they had the knives, they had the cleavers. It looks like Parker and Hope have done that to themselves. So they have ripped their fingernails, they have chopped their fingers off, they've took their intestines out and put them in the box to prank Jeremiah. Another interesting detail is when Parker says at the camera, "Okay, Parker, he's ready, give us a knock." And then something knocks in the supply closet next to the room. So I think that is Parker inside the supply closet or something, and you know, it's going to be his body or something, or it's going to be Hope's and Parker's body. Hope's and Parker's, you know, maybe they're definitely still alive, because somebody's definitely alive in there because they knocked the door. So I think it's going to be like Parker or something, or Hope with their faces ripped off, still alive, you know, with their fingers chopped off and stuff. It ends like that, guys. It ends with a cliffhanger. We don't know who's inside the supply closet, and we probably never will. From my view, guys, if it's confirmed in the book, canon, that Glitchtrap was behind this prank, it's Glitchtrap, okay? In my opinion, I think when Hope and Parker were in the testing room, putting on the VR headsets, I think they got taken over by Glitchtrap or something. We know Glitchtrap can possess people because Glitchtrap's possessed Vanessa, and Glitchtrap apparently possessed Jeremy as well. Tape Lady says that Jeremy cuts off his face. The cut off face in the box, Parker did that himself, okay? Very similar to what Tape Lady says about Jeremy. Jeremy's in the testing room with the VR headset on, and he's cut off his face, and he's still, you know, playing the VR game. I don't know why Glitchtrap does that to people, but that's what it looks like. Interestingly, he doesn't do that to Vanessa in Security Breach, but it has to be Glitchtrap talking it has to be Glitchtrap possessing Parker and Hope, 100%. Parker, and especially Hope, would not do this. They wouldn't cut off their faces and fingers and stuff to prank Jeremiah. Like, you don't do that. We know that Hope cared about Jeremiah. Hope and Parker are not just going to willingly cut off their faces and rip their eyeballs out for a prank. The only thing that makes the most sense is Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap's influenced them. Glitchtraps took over them when they were in the testing room with the headsets on. I think that's the most obvious one to me, and I can't really think of anything else. If it's already confirmed in the Freddy Files, or whatever the book's called, that Glitchtrap was the antagonist in this, then it makes sense. It's a story about FNAF VR. Glitchtrap was the main villain in FNAF VR. The people in this story are cutting off their faces and limbs as a fun game. That's something Glitchtrap would do. The story is similar to what happened to Jeremy. So Jeremy was the testing guy in the game. Tape Lady says he sees Jeremy with the VR headset still on. He's cut off his face. You know, that's not normal, guys. That's not normal for something to happen. You know, you'd be in pain. You know, you'd want to go to the hospital and stuff, right? So it's obvious that's what's happened. Glitch Trappers took over their bodies. It's made them cut off their limbs, cut off their faces, and put them in the supply closet in that room. The person who's knocking is Parker. And Glitch Trap's like, give them a knock, give him a knock. It's going to be Parker, and I think Hope's dead. I think the intestines are from Hope or Parker, one of the two. But they're not going to make it. And that's what's going to be in the closet. Jeremy sees Hope and Parker dead or alive. Somebody's obviously alive because they knocked the door. It's either Hope or Parker knocking the door. There you go, guys. Let me know your thoughts, please, in the comment section. I actually thought this story was interesting. It was nice to see a story based on FNAF VR, right? I know that the stories are not 100% similar, but there's a guy called Jeremiah, working at a VR company, and he gets pranked and his friends get their faces ripped off. I know it's not the same, but the concepts are similar because in the VR game lore, Jeremy cuts off his face because he's been possessed by Glitch Trap, right? So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. And again, now that I've told you the summary, go and watch the tapes again about Jeremy and stuff, cutting off his face. You can see the similarities. It's clear as day. We now can 100% confirm, even though we knew anyway, that Jeremy was possessed by Glitch Trap in FNAF VR, okay? A massive thank you to Firefoop again for making some awesome illustrations. I'll put a link to her stuff in the description. She's done an amazing job as always, just like the last one. So yeah, thank you, Firefoop. Take care, lots of love, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.